Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's continue with our last unit of summer school. And after this lesson, we have two more and we'll be finished. Ok, muchachos, vamos a seguir continuando con nuestra unidad de factorización. Después del día de hoy, solo nos quedan simplemente dos lecciones más. Ok, the topic for today is called factor completely. Factor completely means that you have to use at least two forms of factorization or two steps, okay? At least two steps. That's what factor completely means. Muchachos, factorizar completamente involucra por lo menos dos formas de factorización, o sea, dos pasos, si lo puede pensar de esta manera, ¿ok? So, cuando factorizamos completamente, lo primero que tienen que hacer es usar el máximo común divisor y luego simplemente fijarse si nos queda un dots o nos queda un trinomio para hacer doble burbuja. Okay, guys, so the first step we have to do when we factor completely is use the GCF first. And when we're factoring using the GCF, we will see what we have left. If we have left a binomial, that might be a dots, a difference two squares, or it could be a trinomial, okay? In both cases, we have to use double bubble or, two sets of parentheses, okay? But before we go into that, let's just do some warm-up problems, okay? Because just to refresh your mind. Niños, antes de pasar al tema, vamos a hacer unos ejercicios de calentamiento que es para refrescar la memoria entre las formas de factorizar. So, la primera forma de factorizar que hicimos fue usando el máximo común divisor. De ahí hicimos el dots, diferenciados cuadrados perfectos, y después hicimos el reverso del FOIL, que es doble burbujas. So, muchachos, the three ways that we learn to factor, the first one was using the GCF. Then after that, we did dots, difference of two squares. And the last one was the reverse of FOIL, where you do the double set of parentheses, all right? So for today, we're just going to concentrate in using GCF and dots, okay? So let's do the warm-up first. I'm asking you here to factor each binomial. When you have a binomial, you have two options. You either have GCF or a difference of two squares. Entonces, cuando factorizamos binomios, tenemos dos opciones. O usamos el máximo común divisor o usamos el dots, la diferencia de los cuadrados perfectos. Okay? So, the first two, I did it so you can use the GCF. Los primeros dos, muchachos, lo hice para que ustedes usen el GCF o el máximo común divisor. Y los otros dos, ustedes se dan cuenta, como tienen menos y tienen raíces cuadradas, estos son dots. Guys, these two, because there's a minus, okay? And also, both terms are perfect square, so these two are considered dots, okay? So let me just refresh your mind. This one with dots, and these two we use that in Spanish or in English, GCF, okay? In Spanish, it's máximo común divisor. In English, greatest common factor, okay? And that's okay. So remember, to factor this one, we have to find the GCF. And the GCF for this one is going to be 3. Because 3 divide 9 and divide 3. So if we divide both sides by 3, okay, we're going to divide. We're going to bring the GCF to the front. And if we divide 3 by 3 is 1, so I'm going to have x squared left plus 3. All right? And that should be the answer. You cannot factor anymore, okay? Muchachos, el máximo común divisor aquí es el 3. So dividimos ambos términos entre 3. El 3 lo dejamos afuera y en paréntesis nos queda lo que resulta cuando dividimos entre 3. 3 entre 3 es 1, por lo tanto solo bajo x al cuadrado, y 9 entre 3 es 3. Esa es mi respuesta. So here, in this one, the GCF is not 8, okay? The GCF here is 4. 4 divide 8 and 4 divide 12 also. And also they have in common the x's, right? So you're going to get the x with the small exponent. ¿Ok, muchachos? El máximo común divisor aquí de este es 8, es 4. ¿Ok? No es 8 porque usted no puede dividir 2 entre 8. So 4 divide al 8 y 4 divide al 12. Y también tienen como las variables x al cuadrado. Y siempre saca la variable con el exponente más pequeño. ¿Ok? So por eso sacamos la x sola. So now let's divide by 4x. ¿Ok? Now remember, 4x is going outside the parentheses. Now if we divide 8 divided by 4, it's going to give you what? 2. You have 2x, okay? When you divide variables, you subtract the exponents. Cuando dividimos variables, los exponentes se restan. So if I have 2 and I take 1 away, so it leaves me with 1. Plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. And the x's cancel out. All right? So for these two binomials, we use the GCF. Now for this one, we have to use differences to squares, because remember, when you have a difference to squares, you're going to automatically need 2 sets of parentheses, right? So the square root of 4 of 16 is 4, 1x, okay, 4x, 1 minus, and 1 plus, and the square root of 25 is 5. So 5 here, and 5 there. I'm sorry that you have left a bigger, more space, okay? So we have 4x minus 5, 4x plus 5. That will be the answer for a difference of 2 squares. Same thing here, okay? 2 sets of parentheses, all right? 1 minus, 1 plus, 1 plus, 1 minus, it doesn't matter how you write it. Square root of 4 is 2, so it's going to be 2x here, 2x there. The square root of 49 is 7, 7. And we're going to keep 1y here and 1y there. So that will be the answer for that one. Now, what I was talking about before, when we're going to factor completely, you got to do these two steps together. So first of all, you're going to do GCF, then you're going to do a differences to square. Muchachos, entonces ahora para factorizar completamente vamos a combinar los dos. Yo les voy a dar un problema y ustedes tienen que buscar el máximo común divisor primero y luego usar el dots, diferencia de dos cuadrados perfectos. So you have here, and give you here the steps, all right? But remember, your first step is going to be always look for the GCF, always, all right? When you have the GCF, you have to see if you're going to be a difference of 2 squares or a trinomial, which is reversal FOIL. But this one we're going to do tomorrow, okay? So we're not going to do that today. We're going to do just the first two. We're going to do when we use the GCF first, then we do a difference 2 square after, okay? So let me just rephrase this in Spanish. So muchachos, el tema de hoy va a ser la combinación de estos dos. Ok, les va a dar un problema y ustedes tienen que buscar el máximo común divisor primero y luego lo que sobra va a ser un dot. So va a ser una diferencia de dos cuadrados perfectos, ok. Aquí están los pasos, ok, en español, ok. Siempre vamos a empezar con el máximo común divisor. Y luego que busquen el máximo común divisor, se van a dar cuenta si les queda un binomio o si les queda un trinomio. Si les queda un binomio, vamos a hacer un dot. Y si les queda un trinomio, va a ser el reverso del FOIL. Pero esto lo vamos a hacer mañana, ¿ok? So, en la lección de ahora es máximo común divisor primero and dots after. Right? So let's just put it in practice. Remember, we are factoring completely. When you see the word completely, think about 2 steps. So here in all this problem, we're going to do GCF first and the dots after. Okay? Muchachos, en estos problemas el tema es factorizar completamente. So en todos estos problemas lo que vamos a hacer primero va a ser, okay, buscar el máximo común divisor, factorizar y luego lo que nos sobra factorizar usando dots, diferencia de cuadrados perfectos. So step number 1, okay, remember that. Step 1, okay, find the GCF. So what is the GCF for this one? The GCF of this one is going to be, I think it's going to be 2, okay? Because 8, you cannot divide 18 by 8, okay? So the GCF here is going to be 2. Now, this one has an n, but this one doesn't have an n. So the GCF is only 2. So what do? We're going to divide this by 2. All right? So the 2 goes outside. What do I have left? 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, we bring down the n squared minus 18 divided by 2 is 9. Okay? So now remember, we factored it completely now. I did my first step, which is the GCF. Now my second step is using dots. Because this one is the difference is 2 squared. So now this one is going to become, I'm going to open the 2 set of parentheses, okay? I have to bring down the GCF, I cannot forget that, all right? And I'm just going to divide. I'm going to just factor using the dots. The square root 4 is 2, so 2 here and 2 there. N squared, 1 n here, 1 n there, 1 minus and 1 plus. And the square root of 9 is 3. 1 through here and 1 through there. And that should be the answer right there. So we have to use 2 steps, remember. So let me just say it one more time in Spanish. Muchachos, lo primerito que vamos a hacer es buscar el máximo común divisor, ¿ok? Remember, step 1, máximo común divisor, o GCF. So el máximo común divisor de estos dos números es el 2. Cuando yo divido entre 2, aquí me queda 4, n al cuadrado menos 9, ¿ok? Mantengo el 2 afuera del máximo común divisor. Ahora yo sé que esto se convirtió en un dots, diferencia de 2 cuadrados perfectos. Entonces la raíz cuadrada de 4 es 2, una n para aquí, 2, n para allá, 1 menos 1 más, y la raíz cuadrada de 9 es 3, 3 y 3. ¿Ok? So esto es lo que vamos a hacer hoy y esto es lo que vamos a hacer en la tarea. So, number 2, first step, okay? So remember, the first step is going to be GCF. Now, because the first number is negative, so the GCF has to be negative. And if you notice, the GCF here is negative 6 because 24 can be divided into negative 6. So the GCF is negative 6. So we're going to divide here by negative 6. All right? So negative 6 is going to remain outside the parentheses, and what would I have left inside? Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1, which means just y squared, plus divided by minus is minus, and 24 divided by 6 is 4. All right? So now if you notice, this is a dot. Okay? Which that means 2 parentheses, 1 minus, 1 plus. The square root of 4 is 2, and 2, and I bring down the negative 6. That's it. I'm going to repeat this in Spanish only one more time, and everything else is going to be in English because everything else is going to be the same. So, niños, su primer paso es buscar el máximo común divisor. Si el primer término es negativo, tienen que llevarse el negativo con el máximo común divisor. So, el máximo común divisor aquí es negativo 6, porque 24 lo pueden dividir entre 6, ¿ok? So, si yo divido ambos entre negativo 6, primero saco el negativo 6, que es mi máximo común divisor, abro los paréntesis y cuando divido, negativo 6 entre negativo 6, positivo 1, no lo tengo que escribir, y bajo el y al cuadrado. Ahora, positivo 24 entre negativo 6 más negativo 4. Y esto se convierte en un dot, porque los dos tienen raíz cuadrada. So, una y para mí, una y para ustedes, menos más menos, no importa el orden, y la raíz cuadrada de 4 es 2. Okay? Everybody should remember that. So let's continue. Now look here. The GCF here is going to be 5. So if I divide by 5, okay, I'm going to keep my 5 outside the parentheses, and I will have left y squared minus 9 because 45 divided by 5 is 9. This is a difference to square. So they're going to be y minus 3, y plus 3. What am I now going a little faster? Because you're supposed to know this already, okay? We just combining 2 topics in one. So GCF here is positive 6, remember? This one, because that was negative, I brought out the negative 6, but this one is positive, it doesn't matter. So if I divide by positive 6, the 6 is going to remain outside, and I will have left a squared minus 1. And this one is a difference of 2 squared, so it's going to be a minus 1, a plus 1. Bring down the 6, and that should be my answer. See, simple, right? Let's continue. GCF here is 5. So if I divide by 5, 5 will remain outside, and I will have left y squared minus 4. And that's the same thing we had up here, okay? Gonna be y minus 2, y plus 2, bring down the 5. GCF here is 9. So if I divide by 9, 9 will be outside, and I will have n squared minus 4, which is pretty much the same thing, you just change the variable. So it will be n minus 2, n plus 2. Your homework is going to be just like that, okay? Just be careful. Now here, the GCF is going to be 4, because you can divide 100 by 4, and they both have a variable, all right? So you take the variable with the small exponents, okay, out. So it should be 4w. So if I divide by 4w, I divide by 4w, my GCF, which is 4w, will remain outside. And when I divide, I'm going to have 1. But since I have 3 w's and I take 1 out, I will have w squared minus 25, because 100 divided by 4 is 25, and the w's cancel out. Okay? So this is the difference to square. So it's going to be w minus 5 and w plus 5. Bring down the first w, and that should be your answer. GCF here is 3. If I divide by 3, I keep the 3 out, and I will have m squared plus 4. And this one, not a dot, because it's a plus. It has to be a minus. So you cannot factor anymore. Just we leave it like that. Niños, en este caso, tengan cuidado con este gancho. Cuando ustedes dividen entre 3, les queda 3, paréntesis, m al cuadrado más 4. Pero como este es más, no es un dots, ¿ok? Por lo tanto, ya no se puede factorizar. Hasta ahí llegamos. Cuidado. Number 9. GCF will be 3m, because they both have an m, and you take the m with the small exponents. And 48 can be divided by 3. That's why the GCF is 3m. So if I divide by 3m, I'm going to keep my 3m out, and I will have left m squared minus 16. All right? Because 48 divided by 3 is minus 16. Look, now this is the difference to square. All right? So it's going to be n minus 4 and n plus 4. And the last one, but not the least, okay? Be careful with this one, because that's to the 4th. So look, this one doesn't have a GCF. It does have a GCF, but the GCF will be 1. So you cannot divide by 1. So in this case, what you have to do, you're going to do double dots, because this is the difference to square. So the first thing you will do, x squared minus 9, x squared plus 9, because remember, the square root of 81 is 9, and when you have an even exponent, you just divide it by 2, ¿ok? Muchachos, aquí el máximo común divisor es 1, pero en este caso lo que vamos a hacer es 2 veces dots, porque este es un dots, ¿ok? La raíz cuadrada de 81 es 9, y la raíz cuadrada de x a la cuarta es x a la 2, ¿ok? Siempre que tenemos un exponente par, se divide entre 2. So if you notice now, guys, out of these two, this one still a difference is 2 squared, ¿ok? So that will become x minus 3, x plus 3, and we're going to bring the x squared plus 9 down. Remember, because this one is just like that. Even though that's a perfect square, because it's a plus, you cannot factor. Same here, m squared and 4, the perfect square, but because it's plus, you can't factor. Niños, tengan cuidado, porque miren lo que les expliqué anteriormente. Este es como este. La x tiene raíz al cuadrado, tiene raíz cuadrada, y el 9 también. Pero como es más, no se puede factorizar. En cambio, el negativo sí se puede factorizar. Porque la raíz cuadrada de 9 es 3 y 3, y me reparto una x para aquí y una x para allá, y ahí tengo mi respuesta. So, muchachos, por favor, tómense su tiempo. La tarea simplemente va a ser una copia de lo que hice ahora aquí con ustedes. Por favor, no usen ninguna aplicación, porque yo me voy a dar cuenta, ok, si están usando una aplicación, eso es ilegal. Y yo los puedo hasta reprobar, ok. Ya le he dado muchas oportunidades. Sean honestos, por favor. All right, guys? Just be careful. Do not use any application. Be honest, okay? Use your knowledge and watch the video. If you continue doing that, remember, that's illegal. I can give you a failing grade because that's what you're doing is illegal. Please, and I know when you use an application because you use a different method that I haven't taught yet. So please be honest, okay? Have a good day and I'll see you tomorrow.